This is one of the hardest Minecraft escape rooms with a twist. I can control time, meaning I can use the new tick commands to my advantage to freeze time, speed it up, and perform actions that would normally be impossible in regular Minecraft. This random selection of items in the barrel told me absolutely nothing, nor did the book in the center. The exit I had to reach to escape was 7 blocks in the air. I only had 4, but in the other corner was a dragon egg, and underneath it, a second regular egg. Using a randomly placed bedrock, I tried figuring out how to use my blocks to pillar out, but the distance looked totally insurmountable. But that's where my powers come in. By using tick freeze, I could freeze the game in place, making the sand and gravel float and offering me a really convenient staircase. But even with that, I was still 3 blocks short from the exit, and I only had a single anvil. The final piece of the puzzle was the dragon egg. If I could collect it, I'd have another block, but that was a whole other challenge. The only way I could pick up this egg was by dropping it on a non-full block. Problem was, besides the anvil, I didn't have any of those, and I didn't want to risk placing my anvil somewhere I couldn't get it back. But after hunting around the room for a couple more minutes, I realized the solution. This water was turquoise, and one look at the biome confirmed my suspicions. This was made in a warm ocean, and looking back through my old videos, I found a trick that I used 2 years ago. By bone mealing the water in a warm ocean, I could... Wait, what? Nothing was working, the game was frozen, but I hadn't even used the command. Well, that's because my RAM usage was going absolutely insane, which is why I want to give a huge thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring this video and for helping with the escape room and a little thing called college tuition. With Opera GX, you can control exactly how much RAM your browser takes up, which is crazy useful, especially when there are some browsers who will be very greedy with what they use. I genuinely can't tell you how many times I have to force close my replay or editing software because someone is using up all the RAM. This feature is truly a lifesaver. And while the endless possibilities of how to escape this room now that I got the egg are pretty scary, what isn't scary are the endless possibilities of how to customize your browser with GX mods. Because by only hitting a few buttons, you can select from so many different mods in the GX store that completely revamp the browsing experience. Like this blockified one with custom keyboard sounds, opening and closing tab sounds, custom background music, and calming animated visuals, which really do come in handy when you're trying to work with the most finicky Minecraft physics. And if you want to switch or don't like something in the browser and want to turn it off, that's literally one click away. And if you're convinced, which you should be, and you're ready to switch, importing all your settings from any past browser is super easy. You just press import and all your settings, bookmarks, and everything are transferred just like that into Opera. So thank you so much to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. If you want to try it out and you want to put me out of my college debt, then click the link in the description and try out Opera GX now. But now, after all that pillaring, I was still 2 blocks away from the goal and only 1 anvil to make it up with. I must be missing something, but what? I went into QuakePro to check outside the escape room but found nothing, until I noticed a secret passage behind one of the walls. But it seemed totally empty and there was no way to get to it, so that was a dead end. None of my items could be of any use, and I was about to give up when I realized something. The anvil has a very strange shape, and if I positioned it just right on the bottom ledge, then maybe... Yes, it worked. And I was in the next room where I was greeted by a really strange window and a pig named Gerard. And by this crafting table in the corner, the secret passage I had seen earlier, connecting me to the previous room for some reason. But I continued to explore and investigated the contraption in front of me. It appeared to be some sort of AND gate, meaning I had to power both inputs at the same time for this dispenser to fire. If I powered only one, it wouldn't do anything. In the other corner was a glazed terracotta square. Almost every escape room I play in has one of these. Glazed terracotta pretty much only serves to be broken, so after digging up every block, I found another gold ingot. I still didn't really have any idea what to do though, so I checked out the exit. This time I didn't have to pillar up, but instead parkour across a 6-block gap with head hitters. This jump was unmakeable, and what's worse, I didn't have any items. It seemed like this would be totally impossible. The only thing left to do was actually powering the AND gate, and after walking around for a bit, I had figured it out. I have to hit both of these target blocks at the same time, something which is usually impossible because I wouldn't be fast enough to throw both eggs. However, if I froze time, I could set up both eggs at the exact same moment, allowing me to get the perfect timing to power the dispenser. And just like that, I got knockback 2. And then it all clicked. The final element of this puzzle that I had forgotten about was Gerard the pig. If I could hit him with knockback, I could ride him across the gap of lava. It was a risky play because even a single mistake would mean instant death, but it was the only play I had, so I had to be perfect. But how would I get knockback without the anvil? Well, luckily the secret passage in the past room connected me right to one. Problem was, I needed a sword to put knockback on. That's where my gold came in. Using the crafting table, I crafted up my sword, and of course, I needed levels. This one wasn't so straightforward and seemed like a wall I couldn't pass. The only thing I could think of was using my gas, but I was scared that killing it wouldn't result in enough XP. Then again, it was really the only thing I had, so I had to try. So after luring away Gerard to a safe space, I spawned the ghast and deflected the fireball right into its face, securing way more than enough levels to get knockback. So with my knockback now acquired, I raced back to my pig. I only had one shot, or really one swing at making this work. My plan was to freeze Gerard, hit him, get on him, and then unfreeze time again. So I set everything up in just the right position, and I died. Gerard literally just ran back into the lava. What a way to go out. So after painfully re-speedrunning the entire escape room, I got back to the same place, ready to dismount Gerard instantly this time. And this time, it worked. Gerard had just game-ended himself, and I was safely across the lava, but I wasn't out of the woods yet, because the next room had an even more intimidating exit, a completely solid wall of lava, with a sign with a pretty heavy ask, but I suppose for the sake of the video, I would comply. I looked around the exit to see what I was up against. It appeared to be only 2 blocks deep, but several blocks high with multiple source blocks of lava, so cutting off the lava to pass through wouldn't be easy. The other side of the room was fitted with some skulk sensors in the walls. These seemed strange, but looked like they were both connected to the dispenser in the middle. I reasoned they were like the puzzle in the previous room. I had to power both sensors at once in order to activate the dispenser. The issue is, they were also far apart, and throwing items and running didn't do the trick. Luckily, I could employ my powers again. By freezing time, I could send 2 simultaneous vibrations to both of the skulk sensors, allowing me to power the dispenser and get blue ice? This block is super random. It definitely doesn't give you water, and I had no idea what to do with it. I couldn't cut off 4 blocks of lava with a single blue ice block, and I didn't even know if that was enough. I honestly wasn't sure what was on the other side of this lava wall, and using F3 revealed some deep slate stairs, but nothing that would really give me any clues on how to solve this thing. It seemed like I was at a wall again. At this rate, if I couldn't reason my way through puzzle 3, there was no way I could conquer the future rooms. I carefully collected the warp sign, but even still, I had no solution. The items in my inventory seemed to do absolutely nothing for me, and after a few more minutes of brainstorming, it came to me. What if there were just more items? It seemed so simple and I didn't know why I didn't click earlier. It could be that the dropper contained more than just this one blue ice. And I got it, soul soil. Now the puzzle pieces were starting to come together. Blue ice and soul soil have a very special interaction that has to do with lava. You can use them to create a basalt generator. But if I wanted to get through this lava, I would need at least 1 more of each. And luckily that was exactly what was in the dropper. 1 more blue ice, 1 more soul soil. And I knew exactly what to do. I needed to generate basalt. I froze the game and began inching towards the lava. I had to get this placement exactly right or the entire room would be screwed. I carefully placed the soul soil in the ground and the blue ice just above it. And to my joy, basalt generated in the middle. I could now carve a way through the lava 1 generation at a time. And after carefully making my way through, I unfroze the game and sprinted up the following stairs until I suddenly got the recipe for dripstone blocks. This was weird, and I guess the map creator tried to pull a fast one on me by putting dripstone in my head slot. Unluckily for them though, and luckily for me, the crafting recipes had given it away. After climbing up this long array of stairs, I found myself faced with a drop, one that would definitely kill me if I jumped down. Zooming in revealed a complicated setup. Up top was a hopper minecart, and below was a drip leaf covering a source block of water. That water was my way out. The only issue is I somehow had to open the drip leaf before I fell on it. This simple puzzle seemed extremely strange. There was no evident way to open the drip leaf, but then I had an obvious thought. Items. Items open the drip leaves. If I drop an item, then then jump a second after, the plant will be open and the water will be clear. It was then I realized the purpose of the hopper minecart. I couldn't drop down any items into this shaft without them getting picked up. Even aiming for the wall and the corners did me no good. The minecart was perfectly placed. Then I had a second idea: overloading the minecart. Hopper minecarts have only 5 slots, so if I threw in 6 different items, the first 5 would fill up the cart and the 6th would fall through and hit the drip leaf. There was the problem of deciding which items were worth throwing because I really didn't know what was useful, but I figured this was a reasonable solution, and if it was correct, which I had a hunch it was, it didn't matter which items I used as long as I could get them back after I fell. So with 5 items in, I threw my 6th item and prayed. Nothing. It got picked up. Had I counted wrong, or had the map creator accounted for this and installed some sort of collection system that went deeper? Either way, it didn't matter. All my items were now almost gone. I potentially might have soft-locked myself, and I was about to lose to this 1 block wide hole. There seemed to be nothing else I could do. Then I remembered the logic of this escape room: tick manipulation. Maybe there was another command that could help me. I went through the possible ones. Of the ones mentioned in the book, I had yet to use tick sprint and tick step. I wasn't exactly sure what they entailed, and after operating the use of either one, I discovered my winner: tick sprint. Tick sprint makes everything in the game happen super fast for a certain period of time. My hunch was that maybe, just maybe, it would speed up the drip leaf and I would fall through instantly, but there was only one way to find out. This was my last resort, all or nothing. So I sprinted the game, crossed my fingers, and took a leap of faith into the tube. And I survived. When I reached the bottom, I confirmed my suspicions about the hidden hopper and rearranged the setup to collect my items. Interestingly, there was also one I had never thrown: weeping vines. I wasn't too familiar with what I could do with the vines, but either way I didn't think too much of it because I still hadn't gotten my sign back. This was slightly problematic, and I didn't know how to reach the minecart it was stuck in. I was short a few blocks. The exit to this tunnel was 5 blocks tall, but I didn't want to leave without collecting my sign. And then it clicked. I could just make more blocks with my bone meal. Using my last 2 bone meal, I made 2 more dripstone, and with that and a little maneuvering, hopper breaking, and damage taking, I collected my sign, sword, and hopper minecart too. And with that, pillared out of this tunnel and watched my heart suddenly skyrocket. Checking the menu, it seemed like I triggered a command block to enter peaceful mode, which was nice. The room ahead of me was strange. It was covered in end portal frames and had 2 absolutely whack blocks that seemed to serve no purpose. I only needed a single block to get up to the next room, but of course I didn't even have that. I couldn't place the dripstone spike on the end portal frames, and the bedrock was too far away to create a makeable jump, nor could I use it to make onto the glazed terracotta. I also tried to damage boost, but to no avail. The dripstone seemed totally useless. I got so desperate I even tried landing on a sign, which I knew was impossible, but still. I was running out of options. I organized my inventory into 2 groups: things that I thought could be useful and things that I knew were not. The useful side was sparse, to say the least. The only thing I hadn't truly considered were the vines. All I knew is that these vines were maybe climbable, so I had a hunch they could go on the underside of the higher terracotta and be used to climb to the exit. Placing the vines would be irreversible, but at this point I didn't really have anything left. So after more helpless jumping, I caved and placed the vines. I tested to see if it was possible for me to climb. Nothing. I was too low down or the vines were too small. One or the other, it didn't really matter. Well, actually it did. If the vines were the right size and I could get a little more elevation, I could use them to climb. So I set up my dripstone and hoped nothing. The only thing I had left to consider was the other terracotta, which I thought about maybe placing my dripstone underneath. If I froze the game and broke the terracotta, maybe I could stand on the upside down dripstone. It was worth a shot. The issue was I couldn't even reach under the block. Dead end. Until it clicked. I could use the sign. By placing the sign in the hole and placing the dripstone on that, it would latch to the bottom of the terracotta. Now I had everything in position. I just had to hope the dripstone would stay put. So I froze the game, broke the terracotta, and yes, it worked. I could step onto the flying dripstone. This was perfect. Now the only issue was I couldn't hit the vines. After some deliberation, I decided to break the other terracotta. It was do or die, and I had to do. And to my shock, it actually worked. I clung onto the tiny vines and could now make this otherwise impossible jump. Wait, that's so sick. I gotta do that again. Okay, well, that was not. This is so cool. What an awesome puzzle. The next room had a lot to take in. On one end was this whole slew of redstone components, while on the other there was a series of end portal frames leading up to what I assumed was the exit. On the third end was a villager. He traded for pistons, and judging by his name tag, Victim Gerard, and the very ominous looking station he was trapped in, I took it I did not want to power this dispenser and probably kill him. I tried reaching for the emeralds, but that was too good to be true and I couldn't get them. The dispenser from before was hooked up to a clock that was linked to this redstone circuit, so before I did anything hasty, I tried to understand what I was looking at. Okay, I'm just trying to understand like what's going on here. And when I power this item frame with an item, this is gonna turn on and this villager is gonna be pelted to death. And so I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to collect those emeralds, give them to the villager, and climb this little piston ladder. But I have to be really careful. So I'm gonna tick freeze, piston from this villager, gonna put it, I guess, right here, so it powers me. It's gonna push me up. I'm gonna get this emerald. Okay, we're gonna see what happens. Tick step 1. We're gonna travel 1 tick at a time. Oh, piston. I'm glitched. That's rising. Okay, I'm up. I don't want the villager to die. I'm just gonna, please come to me. Dude, where's this? Oh, shoot. Oh, I want to turn it off. I need to turn it off right away. Okay, I'm turning it off. It's getting, that's 2 arrows. Dude, I don't know how much health. Please don't be a 3rd hit. Oh, no. Okay, wait, I think I can just take unfreeze. That's 3 shots to the villager. I don't know how many shots he can tank. I mean, this is definitely what you have to do, but I don't, like, every tick counts. If I mess up a single tick, I lose just on the spot. I just have to get that next emerald before the villager dies. Oh no. Oh no, dude. Oh no. This situation was like something straight out of Jigsaw. If I wanted to get the last piston to escape, I would have to be tick perfect with every maneuver. So I went for round 2. Tick after tick, I slowly crept forward in time. I actually physically cringed every time I heard the villager get hit by an arrow. I was so close. I just needed a few more ticks and the villager had to survive. The emerald popped out of its frame. I was this close. I could feel it. I just had to collect this emerald before the villager died. Tick by tick, I kept progressing time. I just had to wait, painfully wait while the emerald fell into my lap. Another tick, another tick, another tick, and I got it. I got the emerald. I could get my final piston. I turned off the system, and to my amazement, the villager had just barely survived. I had done it, and just in the nick of time too, because the next 2 shots that fired on my way out killed the villager. That was close, way too close for comfort, but I wasn't out of the woods yet. I had 1 more room left before I won the entire thing, and this one was not going to be easy. To beat the final room, I had to cross an enormous gorge of lava, and on my side was the most random selection of blocks I had ever seen. This was a ridiculous final puzzle, so cautiously I dropped down. The first thing that caught my eye was the skulk sensor. It seemed a bit out of place, but nothing too significant. I checked around for anything else I could break by hand and found a sticky piston by the lava. The slime piston combination screamed launcher to me, but there was no way I was going to launch myself across this lava. To my surprise though, there was nothing else I could collect by hand. I ran around the room checking the lava for a hidden hopper, but to no avail. I wasn't finding anything. But as I was looking around more, something caught my eye. But what was below that was even better, a hidden hopper, and inside a very confusing selection of items. The bow, arrow, and boat caught my attention the most though. I thought of bow boosting, but that didn't seem like it would get me quite across this massive ravine. I considered mining all the blocks to see if there was something hidden underneath, but that would have to be a last resort. But honestly, it seemed like I would have to do it. I was totally clueless on what to do. The piston wasn't even useful without a power source, but then I realized I did have a power source. I had a skulk sensor. So I made a makeshift launcher to just test the distance. Decent, but definitely not good enough. I needed something more. I then had the genius idea to try launching the boat. Definitely some good height, but I didn't think it was enough to make this viable. And my second attempt was more than disappointing. So with the boat plan not really working out, I set up a station. Another idea had come to me. I was going to try to piston pull all the blocks outward and make a bridge into the lava. This logic journey continued for far longer than it should have, and while honestly I did make some decent progress, in the end even I had to call it quits. I was nearing my wit's end, but before calling it quits and asking for help, I decided to try the boat thing one more time. I had the thought that maybe I could control it in midair, and if I could, it would be an absolute game changer. So I set up my station, and to my amazement, I flew. On the second try though, it was even more amazing. After dismounting mid-air, I now had a sky platform I could jump from. This was absolutely huge. So optimistic, for the first time in ages, I retrieved my items and set up the station for the final flight. It was now or never, so I got in my boat and flew. I was so close, I could taste the finish. I just needed to tick step a few more so I could walk on my boat without glitching. Tick after tick, I got myself closer and closer to an impossible jump. This had to work. And finally, I could feel my feet touch down. I crept closer and closer to the end and placed down my carpet and sign. This was it, the final leap. And I had done it. I had won. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely enjoy this one on the left, where I have to create a Minecraft base that's impossible to find. Or on the right, check out this video on my second channel for an escape room competition against some huge YouTubers. But thanks for watching, and peace out, have a good one, I'll see you next time.